message. Maybe it was my t-shirt or maybe it was my death stare, but after class, he asked me to stay for a few minutes and apologized for his offensive joke. I could tell he wanted me to say it was no big deal, but I could barely look him in the eye. Walking to a coffee shop on Mass Ave afterwards to get started on that day's Latin homework, I realized I was still trembling with anger. I did not forgive him. He had apologized only because he had gotten caught. I trace my birth as an angry little Asian girl to the dawn of puberty. I hit adolescence at the same time my mother hit menopause. It's the late 80s in Los Angeles, and while my parents worked long hours, I spent my time watching MTV music videos and calling in requests for George Michael and Terrence Trent D'Arby from our landline. This was the era of sky-high bangs, hammer pants, and Jordan high tops, none of which my mom would let me have. Between the two of us and our raging hormones, there were screaming fights, some of them physical. I remember being 11 or 12 and talking back to my mom. Maybe I wouldn't practice the piano. Maybe I swore at her. And cowering in the laundry room as she pounded on the door with a rubber hose. Another time, she threw a full bottle of Sunny Delight at me. It missed me, landed on the floor, and exploded. She had a visceral hatred for our television set. We watched an appalling amount of TV while she and my father were at work. So she tried to smash the television set multiple times, finally busting it in such a way that no matter how hard my younger sister and I tried, we could only get black and white static. My parents immigrated to the United States from Korea in the early 1970s. My dad had come here as a student, my mom as a nurse. But 20 years later, they were now toiling at a fast food restaurant called Pioneer Chicken, trying to sell enough wings and biscuits to stave off bankruptcy. My mom was less than 5 feet tall and never topped 100 pounds, yet I was physically frightened of her, even after I outgrew her. Her rage was incandescent. She was in her 40s, stuck in an unhappy marriage, working long hours at a restaurant where employees stole from the register and customers threw corn on the cob in her face. The country was sliding into a recession, business was shitty, and now her oldest daughter was rebelling. The irony is that everyone, and I mean everyone, thought my mom was absolutely adorable. I would watch strangers approach her and ask if she was Miyoshi Umeki, the Academy Award-winning Japanese actress who starred in Sayonara and Flower Drum Song. For years, I assumed this was a case of white people thinking all Asians look alike. But then I saw a photo of Umeki and gasped. She was a dead ringer for my mom, with the same pixie haircut, round cheeks, and impish smile. My mom knew how to turn on the charm around strangers, usually white people, but also fellow Koreans. Partly, it was about saving face. Called chemyeon, this code of behavior is common to many East Asian cultures and values harmony and honor. It's a kind of social armor. You might be broke or unemployed or depressed, but you cosplayed prosperity and success. For some Koreans, that meant driving luxury cars, even if you couldn't afford the payments, or mimicking a happy marriage, even if your husband was beating you, or bragging about your kids' straight A's, even if they were suicidal. For my mother, chemyeon meant being decorous and polite in public, even when she was filled with roiling anger in private. It was far too shameful to reveal the truth behind the facade. To the outside world, we were a model minority family, quiet, undemanding, hardworking. But on the inside, we were falling apart. Around this time, my father suffered a freak accident at work while trying to fix a broken oven. An employee had put a large pot of water to boil on the stovetop, and my dad jostled it while working on the oven underneath. The pot was a relic, with the bottom so warped it was more rounded than flat. It capsized onto my father, drenching him in scalding water. Despite the pain, my father dried himself off, changed his shirt, and kept working until closing time. Only then did he take himself to the emergency room, where he was diagnosed with first and second-degree burns all over his face and body. At first, my mother didn't tell us what happened, lying and saying that my dad was asleep in their room. We knew something was up, though, because the door was always locked and he never came out, not even for meals or work, and soon we were certain he was dying or already dead. When my mother finally let us in, my father was lying in